Hello everyone, welcome to the boardroom. Today we're going to be talking about Footbrake soles, specifically free brakes, but this tutorial goes for any type of Footbrake sole that you'll be using. First of all, we're going to be talking about who these are going to be useful for and who they're not useful for. And then once we get that out of the way, we're going to jump into how you can apply these permanently to your shoes so that they don't come off again in the future. Okay, so who should be using brake soles? So brake soles are specifically made to increase your grip to grip tape, your foot's grip to grip tape. So this can be really useful for downhill skating, for potentially slalom skating, and free riding, where you don't want your foot to move or slide off the grip tape a ton. On the other side of the kind of skate pendulum, some disciplines that probably wouldn't like these at all. Street skating, it can be really annoying when your foot just kind of sticks in place. You can't flick as easily, especially if you've got kind of extra pieces of rubber flicking off the tip of your shoe. We'll talk about how to avoid that in the setup process here in a second, but street skating, dancing also, even, if you don't have grip tape, it's kind of nice to be able to feel your board under your feet when you're dancing and to not have, maybe 1/8 of a pound extra in terms of weight on your feet. So dancing, street skating, probably not going to be accessories that are useful to those. But for downhill and freeride, these are huge. Honestly, they kind of are the same as like a foot stop in terms of grip. You can really, really dig into your grip tape once you've got these on. Whereas, if you've got standard shoes, it can be a lot slipperier. It's easier to kind of nudge your foot in for like a toe side, for example. So if you're used to kind of moving your feet, it may take a little bit of time to get used to this, but overall, it seems like everyone that's downhilling or free riding, outside of a few people, are using free brakes, if not some other type of foot brake sole. All right, so step one, we're going to score this flat side, the shoe side of your brake sole. So just quickly coming in here with the box cutter, make sure you don't cut yourself or the table. And if you want to, you can also use something like Locked On or like Scythe and come in and score it as well. And you'll see these work better than something like a Vicious or a Mob because they're made out of metal. The grit here on Scythe and on Locked On and these other kind of like paper-backed and cloth-backed grip tapes. That's given it a little bit of texture, as you can see, just for the glue to grip onto. And as comparison here, here's an unscored piece. You can see it's kind of got a little bit of smoothness. And then we come in, add some cross hatching here so that you have a little bit of something to grip onto. Quickly come in here. There you go, some micro scoring. And now we're all primed and ready for glue. So we can see the little scratches all over this. So that's step one complete. All right, step two. So we're going to prep the shoes. So these aren't even really that clean, so I may go ahead and clean these first. So step two will be making sure that your soles are clean and ready to take super glue here. Step three, the shoes are relatively clean now. Time to get the super glue onto your soles. So I'll grab one sole here on the little work zone. You probably want to put like cardboard or a random piece of wood or something down so that you don't stick to your table. And I'm going to outline here with super glue and then fill in. And I'll flip it over and make an imprint. Leave this here, fill it in a little bit more, and then I'll press it down all the way and leave it there to set. You'll also want to make sure that your tip and your heel are pressured as it glues. You can also kind of roll onto the toe and on the heel. And then another tip is once it's kind of starting to set, like maybe after 15 minutes or something, you can actually put your shoes on in this kind of square mode. And this will help you get a little bit more pressure down on where you actually stand when you skate. And then one other tip for application. The tread pattern here may be specific or cut in a way that might be better for certain positions of your foot. So for me, my back foot, I'm regular. I kind of sometimes roll over on my back foot. I notice that there are these kind of perforations here that might help me kind of achieve that a little bit better and give me a little bit more relief for kind of leaning over. So what I might do here is put this sole on this shoe specifically. You'll notice this also has a similar single edge. I'll match that up with this side. And then just to make sure that you don't get your laces glued, you can tuck them under your laces and then pull the tongue up so that you're not, flopping around with a bunch of shoelaces the whole time. Or you could just take out your shoelaces, but this kind of saves time. All right, so taking a look at the perimeter seal, I've done a little bit already here, as you can see, around the outside. And I'm gonna just continue to go around and put a little bead around the outside edge. Then you'll want to tuck in right on the corner so that you get that grip against the rubber. This will help build a seal and cup your shoe a little bit more with the brake sole. Just because you want the edge to look clean, you don't want to look like you've got rubber all over your shoe. It's kind of nice when it just looks like a normal shoe still. So you'll do this around the whole perimeter of the shoe here to make sure that you get any air bubbles out. So as you see, you can see kind of some of the spots where it was loose earlier. I've filled, so when you kind of fold it over, you'll see a little bit of overfill, but that's fine. That overfill will dry. And right after you do this, if you want to heat up your shoe a little bit by maybe putting it against a space heater for a second, you can dry the edges a little bit faster, then put your shoe on and apply pressure to the sole directly with your foot. You'll notice now the edge or the tip is now going up with the tip of my shoe, and the heel is pulling up here as well with the shape of the heel. So that's what you're looking for. You want the rubber to be conforming to the shape of your shoe and sticking, and you want to check for any edge seam gaps and filling those with super glue before you go for a final dry, and then put your shoe in and kind of walk around. Be careful. It feels super awkward to walk with a square shoe, so you're gonna kind of want to duck walk, like waddle around so that you don't kick yourself and trip. you'll want to make sure that you've got just about this much around the whole perimeter here. So that's the bead that you're looking for. Our super glue is now dry and our brake sole is attached to the shoe. Now we have to trim off the excess here so that we have a not boxy shoe. So you'll take your box cutter. You'll want this to be a new blade just because rubber is really annoying to cut through. And a tip here, if you pull the rubber, it'll make it a little bit easier to cut through. And another thing that I've noticed is you actually can use pretty much no pressure. So like go through here once, twice, and just score multiple times, and that'll also do a great job of cutting through the rubber. So I'll just kind of start with this first outsole, and you'll see there, I've already busted through there, right on the toe box, and just a bunch of tiny cuts. And here you can see we're making it through. I'll do another tiny cut in the same channel. And there you can see we're through actually. So right there, we've made it through the foot brake sole. So you'll want to make it go through this whole process around the whole shoe. I typically try to cut towards the inside, so like cutting at this kind of an angle versus like straight down or out. Main reason for that is to prevent things from snagging onto the foot brake sole. I've never had that happen, but I've also always done this method, so who knows if that does anything. I just prefer to do that. It also visually hides the rubber a little bit better so that once you're done cutting, as you can see here, kind of just looks flush like a normal shoe. All right, so then once you get your shoe print out of your shoe, you're pretty much good to go. You'll want to rinse and repeat with the other side, aka your other shoe. And you can also go ahead and, come back around here with another bead of glue if you'd like, if you notice that there's any places here now that are popping up. You'll notice here on the inside, I've got a little bit of a tongue. So I can actually come in from the bottom or the top, give it a few quick little cuts, and they'll just kind of fly out here. All right. And this is essentially how you get your free brake or any other foot brake sole onto a skate shoe. Ariel, thanks for tuning in to this episode. I'll be coming out with more videos in the near future. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you gave this video a like, that would be awesome. Share this up with the homies, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments or hit me up on Instagram at Bay Area Longboarder. Peace.